Hello, my name is Tim Meunier, and I'm the Director of Music Ministries here at the First United Methodist Church of Jackson, Michigan. And this is Food for Thought for Friday, August 14th. I have to tell you that for the vast majority of my life, I have not been political. I was so easily swayed by anyone's argument that my opinions change with the weather. I lean towards whichever storm seems the fiercest. We're in an election year, and as I've said many times before, there is nothing like an election to prove that it's impossible to make everyone happy. I guess that you could say that at least an election makes the most people happy. I have friends that share their political views on Facebook. I think that this is as useful as banging your head against the wall. Your shared views persuade no one. It only gives you a headache. You'll never read my political views on Facebook. Why would I even think that anyone would want to read my views on anything? To be honest, I even wrestle with that when it comes to sharing my thoughts in these Food for Thought posts. Why would anyone want to listen to the ramblings of the Director of Music Ministries? When I was a student, I always sat in a spot that was not in direct sight of the teacher. I never wanted to be called upon to speak. This even got harder when I went away to college at Westminster Choir College. As a Westminster student, I was part of the largest choir at Westminster. Every member of the symphonic choir sang in New York City with the New York Philharmonic Orchestra. We had to each be prepared to learn the music and represent Westminster Choir College. To motivate us, we were each given a number. That count would start over with each voice part: bass, baritone, tenor 1 and 2, alto 1 and 2, and soprano 1 and 2. So we all had our number from the beginning of the semester. We knew that at any moment the director could stop the rehearsal to call on all the 9s or all the 16s to stand and sing their part or recite a text when not in English. Talk about intimidation. There was nothing worse than to be called upon to sing in front of all your peers and to be a representative of your voice part and to not know your part. One spring, we were working on Hector Berlioz's The Damnation of Faust. The text of this work is all in French. And as luck would have it, my number was called. But this time, rather than listen to all of the 12s singing their part together, the director instead asked each of us individually to recite a verse in French. I was never so relieved at my luck. It came to my turn, and I recited the text in a good tempo and was quickly invited to sit down. That was certainly one of those rare moments in my life when I was willing to stand out and be the lone voice. The aversion that I once had to standing out doesn't seem to be shared by many people these days. Everyone seems to be pushing their own views and trying to force others to think as they do. I never felt more discouraged and frustrated as I do now. Everyone seems to be going their own way, regardless of what makes sense and makes sense to me. The biggest divide right now isn't only political, or maybe it is, it's whether we should wear a mask or not. I'm really discouraged that this is even an issue. My sense of discouragement has really taken a hold of me. There are riots and protests, and the virus, my Lord, it seems to be taken hold of everyone in April and May. Then it looked like we were finally stemming the tide. So what happened? We pretended like it was gone. The doors crept open just a little bit, and frustrated people, tired of social distancing and being stuck at home, pushed those doors wide open and returned to their preferred way of living and socializing. And we all know what that did. Florida, over 10,000 new cases in just one day. Arizona, Texas, and most all other states are now seeing rise in infection counts. Then, if all of that isn't reason enough to get discouraged, There are all the protests and riots. I can't watch TV anymore because there's no escaping it all. I try to escape that feeling of discouragement by retreating to my garden. But you know what? It's hot outside. Yes, it sure is easy to feel discouraged right now. There's an old legend that tells how a man once stumbled upon a great red barn after wandering for days in a dark, overgrown forest. Seeking refuge from the howling winds of the storm that seems to rage perpetually in the forest, he entered the red barn. He stood there for a short while to let his eyes grow accustomed to the dark, and then, to his astonishment, he discovered that this was the barn where Satan kept his storehouse of seeds to be sown into human hearts. More curious than fearful, he lit a match and began to explore the piles and bins of seeds around him. He couldn't help but notice that the containers labeled seeds of discouragement far outnumbered any other type of seed. Just as the man had drawn this conclusion, one of Satan's foremost demons arrived to pick up a fresh supply of seed. The man asked them why the great abundance of discouragement seeds. The demon laughed, because they're so effective and they take root so quickly. The man then asked, do they grow everywhere? At this the demon became sullen. He glared at the man and admitted in disgust, no, they never seem to thrive in the heart of a grateful person. So the moral of this story is to always be thankful for what you have. Be thankful for the people in your life, even those who have different thoughts and politics as you do. Trust the Lord to take care of what you don't have, and to know that those who think differently than you might be discouraged too. So you see, you just might have more in common with them than you had realized. So in those times when you're feeling like you're drowning in frustration and discouragement, remember that the tea kettle, although up to its neck in hot water, continues to sing. In those days when you're discouraged, I invite you to continue to sing. We hope that you would join us in our streamed worship service this Sunday. Have a good week.